All right, I'm back. Now let us get set up for Mission 11, Q's Armoury. So let me update game details here. This is, of course, Mission 11. Otherwise, all the details remain the same. No new cover art. Man, imagine if they've done unique artwork. I was gonna say boxes, I don't know. Cassette cases for Lord Bromley's estate in Q's Armoury. Unfortunately, no such luck. We just get the box of the action pack itself. For those of you who were not around at the beginning of the stream, when we looked at this stuff, why don't we take another quick look at the contents of this box. This bundle came out in 1990. It had a ZX Spectrum Plus 2 with 128K of memory, a built-in cassette deck, a joystick, a Magnum light phaser, 3 games, and some cool little feelies. Has this little passport that acts as the game's manual, and I guess the little letter from M or whatever, and the 2 tapes. Tape number 1 contains Lord Bromley's estate and Q's Armoury, and the second tape contains the so-called Zero Mission, aka a reissue of The Living Daylights with some kind of light gun support. And on the other side of the tape, we get the audio briefing from Desmond Llewellyn as Q. So there is some kind of written backstory in the manual slash briefing letter, and then you have the audio tape to kind of give us a little bit more context and content. And then the story kind of plays out over the course of these 3 games. So The Living Daylights, of course, existed previously. It came out in 1987. We played it for the challenge already. A pretty cool game, all things considered. But also a fairly impossible one. So in this bundle, they kind of came up with a new backstory explaining what's going on. And they just sort of retrofit the events of The Living Daylights, the computer game, into this brand new backstory, which is like kind of neat, a little silly and odd, especially because all the written details are not consistent, like internally. But it's still kind of cool. So, you know, in the audio briefing that we listened to for Lord Bromley's estate, for example, the titular lord is referred to as Lord Broccoli, which presumably was the intention, and then they had Desmond Llewellyn record the tape, and then at some point they decided, nope, we can't call it that, so now it's Lord Bromley. The recording is what it is. Where's the game where Bond has to cook up some hots and hams in the backyard, license to grill? I mean, it may fall on you to create that, to bring it to the world, Terravan. I don't believe it exists, but there's a rich tradition of kind of home-cooked, home-baked, if you will, unlicensed Bond games. We've already played 2 of them for the secret missions. Maybe there will be more. So, you know, it could still happen. It's a missed opportunity so far, but that doesn't mean it has to remain that way, right? Be the change that you want to see in the world. That's what I have to say. But we are not going to be grilling right now, licensed or not. We are going to be practicing our shooting acumen, which, I mean, we're doing pretty all right so far. So I'm feeling pretty confident about Q's Armoury. But I think it is time that we take a listen to what our dear friend Q has to say about our next assignment. Let's fade out these jams and let's take a listen to the second portion of the audio tape.
007. Thanks for getting down here so quickly. You know, we were right. The crew of the chopper reads like a roll call of international terrorists. 4 of the most dangerous mercenaries on our files. It'd take something huge to bring those 4 together, and our men in Turkey reported a whole army of suspicious types. Well, you better sit down. No, not there. That's a prototype we're working on. An ejector seat for top-ranking officials. If somebody tries to assassinate them at their desk, it shoots them to safety through a trapdoor in the ceiling. Only we don't have the trapdoor fitted yet. You know, it would have blasted you against 3 inches of concrete at 100 miles an hour. But even you'd have got a headache from that. Right, back to business. Now, there's only one organization powerful enough to recruit terrorists of these capabilities. An organization called Spider. And their aim is obvious. If they'd killed those ambassadors on British soil, think what it would have meant to the peace talks next month. Oh, we'd have been back on the iciest depths of the Cold War. So, we're sending you in. You must eliminate Spider's threat before they try again. And it's going to be tough. Possibly your toughest assignment ever. So, we've devised something to give you an edge. Now, this may look like an ordinary pistol, but it's not. Firstly, it's electrogenetically personalized. Only you'll be able to use it. Now, I want you to hold it while I set it. There. That's it. Now, you're the only person able to use it. Take it out on the firing range, get used to it, blast those bullseyes, and piece of cake, really, 007. But pay attention, because this is actually 3 weapons in one. For your second visit to the range, you'll use it in continuous fire mode. That's right. Hold down the trigger, and you've got a machine pistol. Pretty neat, hmm? And finally, the heavy artillery. Well, you can't really lug a bazooka around with you, so we've devised a miniature explosive shell. Its effects are devastating. It can blow holes in armor-plated steel. Now, that'll be your 3rd session at the firing range. Sorry to put you through all this, 007, but M insists. Oh, and you don't leave here until you've achieved the qualifying scores in each category. Well, what are you waiting for? Get shooting.
Stop the tape here and play the next section.
All right. Yeah, I just noticed, unfortunately, I failed to realize this when we were listening to the first briefing, that the my mic was picking up a bunch of the audio, so I hope it wasn't too unlistenable. Yeah, I like that they spent, like, it's a 3-minute clip, and they spend like 40 seconds on a weird ejector seat joke. It's also kind of funky when you think about it, like the conceit of the whole thing, where, like, in the first game, you know, the briefing we're listening to is like a secret recording that Q has embedded in the stock of our rifle. A little echoey, but sounding fine. All right, cool. I'm glad you were able to at least pick up on what was being announced here and read. So, like, if we think, like, if we put ourselves in the shoes of Bond, like, we're going for the full immersion roleplay experience. We have our gun, we're going to shoot those clay pigeons, we're listening to the tape, like, we get, you know, we're on the estate grounds, we're listening to the briefing. But for this one, the way it's playing out, it's like literally Q talking to Bond in person in real time. But it's like this whole radio playing out, except Bond is just incredibly docile and quiet and not saying anything. It like the sort of pacing and everything, like, it just feels a little odd. I feel like it was a bit of a missed opportunity, or like, you know, a failure to make the most of the format, because if you're listening to a tape, obviously it's not going to be interactive, it's not going to be live, But if you pretend, if the recording that you are listening to is meant to be a recording, there's nothing strange about it. But when you're listening to a recording that's like playing out as if it's someone talking to you live in person, I feel like it breaks the immersion a little bit. Exactly. That's Q's dream right there. Bond just never getting to talk back to him. I mean, not that Q typically lets Bond really walk all over him. I feel like Q kind of sort of gets the last laugh. I don't know. The dynamic of it just feels a little off. Again, if Q has a recording for Bond, that's perfectly fine. But if it's supposed to be the two of them having a conversation, it's very strange for Bond to just be completely quiet. Tango Bunny, greetings. Yes, you did indeed miss Lord Bromley's estate. You have missed the mission briefing from Q here on Q's Armoury, but you are just about to witness the sure-to-be spectacular gameplay of this game. I listened to the briefing, and I don't know if I paid that much attention, but basically, another nice little incongruency here is that in the game, the helicopter was filled with Spectre agents, but on the tape, Q identifies the terrorist criminal ne'er-do-well group as Spider. And interestingly, we talked about this in these like Bond sort of knockoff games, where, like in Shaken But Not Stirred, they kind of use 007 and maybe Bond, but then, the villain is Dr. Death. Moneypenny is Miss Cashcoin, and of course, who can forget the ultimate henchman, Pause. And then even in the Stealth Affair, the villain group is actually called Spider, right? And they've got this spider logo and everything. So it seems a little odd in this game that would be a thing, but I was actually able to learn something doing a little bit of research. That apparently at the time there was some kind of ongoing lawsuit between which parties I'm not entirely sure, but there was some kind of, like, I'm sure, Bond is a complicated property that has always been sort of well, I shouldn't say always, but historically for a long time has been sort of, there have been multiple parties involved with it, right? Because there's, of course, Ian Fleming and the Fleming estate, whatever. There's Eon, there's MGM, and however those different parties kind of overlap and what have you. But apparently there was some kind of lawsuit regarding, I forget which film it was specifically, but I guess there were elements to it that was sort of the ownership of certain story elements and certain maybe names and concepts, including apparently the group, or at least the name Spectre, were like subject of that lawsuit. So apparently, presumably, when they were doing the recordings for the audio briefing, they, I guess, were not confident that they would be able to use Spectre. But by the time they made the game, either that had been cleared, or they just didn't really give a shit, and they just put Spectre in the game anyway. Yeah, because you had the Never Say Never Again, right? But that was like way earlier. Wasn't that like 1983 or something? So you would think that by 1990, that shit would have gotten kind of cleared up. But maybe not. I guess it's not unheard of for lawsuits to keep going for a long time. I mean, there's other movie properties that have been in kind of similar situations. Like the Friday the 13th movie series is a known one where, like, there's multiple parties kind of making claims to certain aspects of the property that has a lot of kind of sort of side effects of licensed products struggling to exist or be supported, or etc. Like, you know, that the Friday the 13th game, the online multiplayer thing, like that game ceased operation exactly for that reason. Like, there was not because the game wasn't popular or anything like that, or at least not specifically, but some kind of legal situation prevented them from continuing to work on it. So they basically had to kind of abandon it. I don't know that it's been like had sort of fallout or issues because of it. But the Terminator IP is also kind of in a similar thing where like the name and the endoskeleton design and the actual story or whatever, like they're all kind of owned by different parties. So that's why in some cases you could have had like games or other licensed products that were able to kind of have the license to some aspects but not others. Now obviously you would like actors' likenesses, like putting Arnold in it or whatever, would of course be a separate thing, but that's the case for every movie whatever. But the fact that like you could hypothetically license the Terminator, but it wouldn't, like, you wouldn't necessarily have the rights to use the endoskeleton designs or whatever. Like, that's a kind of a funny idea. So for all I know, this Bond ownership thing, whatever it was about, really, it could have extended throughout the 80s. I guess I don't really know. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the children's novel written by Ian Fleming. That's interesting. I didn't know that either. It's always a good amount of educational content on this stream. That's what I like to see. Very well. I think once again we've stalled long enough. Let's get down to MI6's underground shooting range and try out our multi-purpose gun. So let's boot it up. Choose Armoury. All right, we got the same we got the same ambient sounds here. All right, I mean, it makes sense. We're at a shooting range. People would be shooting here too. You, Secret Agent James Bond, have been summoned to Q's Armory in order to test the latest Secret Service weapons. Pull trigger to start game. So, presumably, we will get instructions about our objectives similar to... let me start the timer, I'll forget otherwise. Similar to Lord Bromley's estate. There's a little bit of stuff going on about the gun having like multiple functions, right? Because I guess we have the semi-automatic regular pistol firing, whatever. Then there's like a fully automatic machine pistol mode, which I'm very curious how that's gonna work. And then there was like, what, the third mode was like a rocket bullet thing, whatever. I couldn't very well carry a bazooka with me. I don't know about that. So we have some kind of bazooka mode in our pistol. So obviously this is not really representative strictly of how the Living Daylights works, the game. In that game, for every stage, you pick like a gadget. And I guess in this version of it, they sort of dress it up. I think we'll listen to the third briefing after this. I think they're basically trying to recontextualize it so that the different gadgets that we can select in the Living Daylights are supposed to represent like the alternate firing modes in like on this super secret special gun, which kind of makes slight sense in some contexts, but it like it doesn't really make that much sense when you think about the fact that the first stage of the Living Daylight is like the training exercise where you have a paintball gun and then we have to toggle to the Walther PPK when we find the the secret intruder or whatever. And then like there's the what is it, like the pipeline stage or whatever, where the gadget that they have to use is like a hard hat. Does our secret gun have a hard hat mode? You just flip a switch at the bottom and then you have a hard hat. I don't know. It's a little bit of a stretch, but you gotta appreciate the attempt that was made to kind of make sense of it and recontextualize it. I've watched the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang film, but probably not in about 30 years. I couldn't say that I remember anything of it, but I know that I have seen it. But anyway, let's check out Q's Armoury. Oh shit, okay. What am I shooting? Okay, we got 10 points. The collision remains a little questionable. Yeah, I think we just gotta find the correct... heights or areas of the screen where shooting works. Head height on the closest targets appears non-functional, so we gotta shoot them in the stomach. Your hit rate was 32%. Alright, so this begs another question here. Is that 32% of targets or 32% of shots fired? Hard to say. I could absolutely believe that I hit 30, or let me put it this way. I have no confidence that I was able to hit more than 32% of targets, but given that I was trying to shoot like crazy with no information that the game was going to rate any kind of accuracy, I could have very well have been only hitting with 32% of my actual mouse clicks. What's up, Xinjing Meng? Greetings, welcome, welcome. Dropping the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang lore, appreciate that. Educating chat, that's always good. Okay, not good enough. You failed, game over. Congratulations, a new high score. Alright, okay, you gotta take the good with the bad. So far, I'm a much bigger fan of Lord Bromley's Estate than this game. This is like so much less exciting to look at, but also like so much more confusing. It's super unclear like what the objective is, how we're being scored, what the quota is. But yeah. Shoot one target and then put the controller down for potential guaranteed 100% score. See, Lord Bromley's Estate had like for every level the objectives were different. So for some stages you had to be more selective about your targets, making sure that you hit the shots that you went for. And in other ones you could like just spray and pray like crazy. Here, I guess, I don't know. For now, I'm gonna try to hit targets as well as I can, and we'll see if we're getting judged. I mean, we could try to hit one target and then do nothing, but let's try to actually practice shooting and get a sense for how the shooting works. This is indeed a light gun game for the ZX Spectrum. It is what it sounds like, and it is quite something. Okay. The smaller targets are easier to hit. This like middle row is fine. Okay, fine is a relative statement. It's not easy to visually distinguish a successfully shot target and one that like disappears. 48%. Okay, I didn't feel great about that, but that's a big improvement. We've kind of gone over a lot of the background and context for this box set. I'm not going to repeat it like at length, but basically, yes, in 1990, a bundle was released that contained 2 original games, a readjusted version of The Living Daylights as the 3rd game, and the light gun itself, the Magnum Light Phaser. And it's like a pretty cool package. And as far as light gun games for the ZX Spectrum goes, like, you wouldn't necessarily expect much. And I don't know, if this was all I played, I wouldn't be too impressed, but Lord Bromley's Estate was definitely cooler. Looks like it's based on score. I mean, I guess you get points when you hit a target, And the more targets you hit, the higher your accuracy is, so that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think we have to be careful about, like, missing shots, at least not for this round. But we'll see. But clicking too rapidly doesn't necessarily seem to help. But I guess as long as you get, like, the shot to register, the game kind of pauses while the shot is happening. So you get a little bit of extra time. Oh, it was so weird. So I'm gonna go nuts clicking as much as I can. Your hit rate was 68%. Well done. You go on to the next range. Alright, so it does tell me what weapon I am using, at least. So the question is, do I now advance to the machine pistol round? And there's 3 stages, and that's it? Or, well, we'll find out. Whoa, this is kind of cool. Wait, what? Oh, a bonus stage? Okay, I wasn't ready for that, but that was kind of cool. Machine gun, okay. Oh, yeah, I don't have to match, I can just hold it. Seems like it would be way easier, but who knows how it's counting or doing anything. Like, it's running kind of in slow motion for as long as I'm shooting, because it has to stop. Like, targets can't be moving around while it's checking if I hit anything. Rub the cursor all over the place and see what you hit. Oh, your hit rate was 66%, not good enough. Presumably, I guess we need... Well, it could be different per stage, but I guess... Given that 68% for stage 1 was enough, and 66% for stage 2 was not, I'm gonna assume we need to hit 2/3 of targets. Did we get to Lord Someone residence? Well, we completed Lord Bromley's estate. We were shooting a bunch of clay pigeons until the Spectre helicopter showed up. We successfully shot the helicopter 10 times to make the Spectre agents retreat, and based on that, I guess Q was able to piece together that those were an elite group of international henchmen or whatever. So we're about to go on a top secret mission, but before we're allowed to do that, we need to train. We need to qualify at the shooting range. So that is what we're doing right now. Alright, okay. This is so fucked. Like in the first game, at least when the targeting flash thing properly appeared, it seemed to, like, register pretty consistently. But here it's very inconsistent. Alright, 70%. Nice. Which target must be hit first? I don't think that, like, the order I don't think matters. I'd be shocked if the game is, like, keeping track of that. You know, it's just giving us a simpler hit percentage. How many of the targets did you manage to hit? Big ones in front give 5 points, the ones in the back give 20. Yeah, the scoring system does not feel, like, super well thought out. Like, in Lord Bromley's estate, the way it works is, like, every stage is just, like, clay pigeons come flying, but there's different criteria for clearing each level. You either just have to, like, there's 40 clay pigeons, you have to hit 10 of them to advance, and as soon as you hit the 10th one, you advance. And then there's ones where they're shooting out groups of clay pigeons, and you have to shoot 3 or 5 complete groups. So if it's going to shoot out, like, you know, it'll shoot a certain amount of clay pigeons, and then the level is over. And if you didn't reach the quota by the time the level is over, that's it. You're done. Game over. But when you do reach the quota, you will immediately advance to the next level. So there are stages that, based on the criteria, you can, like, hit certain targets but fail to reach the criteria, so you can kind of delay it a little bit, essentially hitting a few bonus targets on the way to reaching the criteria, and that'll give you more points than if you hit the criteria perfectly immediately. So, like, the optimal way to maximize score is to, like, not play the best you can, because there's no, like, bonus for being accurate or doing it quickly. So here, I don't know, it's kind of the same thing, you know, there's not that much thought into it being like a well-designed score system. All right, so we get a bonus stage first. This is so cool, a little countdown. Okay, would have been cooler if that worked, but no bonus. Do I get to advance? Okay, there we go. With a bonus of nothing. Score so far is 705, but 70% was, like, not a massive margin. I feel like I have to, like, move the cursor for it to register. These targets are really hard to hit. Well, these ones are the hardest, though. For some unknown reason. I guess it's the same thing as the accuracy one in Lord Bromley's Estate. Like, you gotta go for the surefire ones. 68% is not good enough for stage 2! Holy shit! Okay. This is gonna be tough. You failed. Game over. Although, I wonder... Like, you have the fully automatic fire. But I wonder if you're, like... maybe somehow better off, like, trying to... The red targets are... I wonder if there's some other better way of hitting them. Like, that row seems perfectly fine. Okay, you have to hit, like, above this, or, like, on or around this dotted line. No. Okay. Oh. It just... some areas of the screen just seems harder to shoot. And the small targets don't have, like, animation when they're disappearing. Back from grocery shopping, and I still don't have an epileptic seizure. The flashing is not too bad on my end. I hope it's not terrible on your end. Frankly, it didn't really occur to me, because it's not really flashing too much like full screen. It's like kind of drawing it up relatively slowly. If it's tough to look at, I apologize, but there's not that much I can do about it, I don't think. You'll just have to listen to my narration. Okay, do we get to shoot the bonus target this time? Okay, 430. Looks like the targets have the same hitbox. The big ones only seem to die from headshots, and the red targets need to be shot in the middle. I can tell you that that's not the case, because a lot of the closer ones seem to only go down when I shoot them in the stomach. But I assure you, it's not to do with design of the hitboxes, because it was very much the same in Lord Bromley's Estate, where, like, certain parts of the screen just couldn't reliably register hits. So I think that's more the case. Like, something about how this kind of... instead of doing this kind of full screen scan to see where I'm aiming, it's sort of, I don't know, determining what part we're aiming at first and then only checking in that region, sort of. And regularly, I can click and the screen does not flash at all. And you could tell in the other game, when you had stages where it's like you have to hit 5 in a row, if you clicked and you don't shoot something, your streak resets. So clearly the game registered that I pulled a trigger, but it doesn't even throw up anything on screen to attempt to like scan where the hit was. So I can have the cursor perfectly on a clay pigeon, click it, the game said, nope, you missed, and it didn't even check to see if I hit or not. But that seemed to happen only in certain parts of the screen. So that, I'm sure, is still going on in this game also. But in addition, you'll notice a lot of the time I click, we do get some kind of flashing, but it doesn't seem to register that I'm hitting it. Is it because I'm clicking too fast? Is it because it is supposed to be precise? It's a little hard to tell. But certain areas of the screen just seem to like not be capable of registering hits. But we can try to aim for headshots and see if that helps. Oh, I missed both. This gun fucking sucks, Q. Gotta prepare to just like fully unload automatic gunfire with no regard to accuracy or safety. Just fully keep spraying bullets. 76%! Okay, that was not bad. That was not bad. I cannot say that I feel any more confident about my understanding of how the collision works. But the belief that I was aiming for the head appears to have had a positive effect in this instance. So if we have to redo it later, I'll try that again. Sure, why not? Machine gun, but machine is a ZX Spectrum. I also would like to say that bad programming is, I don't know, you know, it's still a fucking ZX Spectrum, and for it to have a light gun game that functions seems fairly impressive at all. You know, it's... I mean, it is what it is. It's not exactly great, but at the same time, it's like pretty amazing. I don't know what's going on with the audio. I guess it's just the ambience. Okay, next range. Is this the final stage? I guess probably so, right? Oh, bonus. Oh, it actually worked. 820. Wait, okay. Bazooka. Dude, the targets are so fucking fast. We're back to rapid clicking. It's basically just stage 1 again, but it's probably gonna have a really harsh, like, requirement. Is the hitbox larger? Dude, it's so fucking impossibly fast. This is gonna be impossible. What the actual fuck? Like, 4 targets in the corner of the screens pop up at the same time and disappear after 1 second. How the fuck are you supposed to do that? Yeah, I mean, to be clear, Tango, I have no understanding of how any of this is meant to function or how it does function. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's something going on with, like... it would seem like it's probably intended to have, like, a larger hitbox or something. But then 70% of the time, you click exactly on a thing 4 times and nothing happens. So, we'll see, you know, maybe it'll just seem impossible until it just isn't. Yeah, see, I clicked about 12 times there. Yeah, the gun functionality in this game seems like shockingly worse than in the other game, somehow. Dude, it's like not even flashing. It's a little bit infuriating. Usually this row is like pretty okay. 60%. Wait, okay, so stage 1, 60 is enough. Wait. I failed at 66. No, I failed at 66 on stage 2. I was just like trying to think, like, is it not based on percentage? I don't know. But I think it is. It's probably just different requirements on each stage. Which has me terrified. If 70 was not enough for stage 2, does that mean that, like, 80 is not going to be enough for stage 3? Like, you just have to fire at something with fully automatic fire for, like, a second straight, or a bullet will hit it sometimes. And sometimes it just works instantly. And the red targets fucking go away instantly, too. It's pretty messed up. I don't know if you guys have been paying enough attention to know if the sequence is, like, fully predetermined. If that's the case, maybe you could learn. How was that 90%? That did not seem like 90%. I mean, I did okay, but so many targets looked like they were, like, folding away after hitting them. Yeah, it shows me the percentage, but yeah, it could be the score. That's... It cannot be ruled out. Alright, that was in a lucky spot where collision works. Okay, I think I was a little bit caught off guard last time. I wasn't, like, ready for fully rapid fire clicking. Already doing terribly. I'm learning to recognize the sound effect. There's like a slightly different sound when you hit. Like a padunk. So you can kind of maybe listen for that a little bit. Yeah, I hit that one. 66%. Alright, but I think we can... I don't know how much we need. But I feel like I can learn to get better. Yeah, I saw that. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it was the same thing, like in I had the same thought, I should say, about Lord Bromley's estate, because there were certain areas that seemed to work worse, but it was more about the black background, like the black clay pigeons kind of blending in and being hard to see where they were. But it's supposed to, like, properly overlay the black and white stuff, whatever, so it shouldn't, like, that shouldn't be a thing. That's a lot of things that shouldn't be a thing in this game that seem like they might be. Yeah, that row is hard, like, right above this dotted line. Like, really hard to hit. At least on the left side. I got... Yeah, so you might have to, like, shoot in a slightly different spot. Okay. I was gonna say, that felt good. 74%. Bonus. The first stage is, like, pretty trivial at this point. Wasn't quite ready. I missed both. Okay, the audio doesn't exactly play back in super real time when you keep shooting, so maybe that's not... For this stage, it's not a cue I can really rely on. felt good at the beginning of the stage, but now I'm not so sure. %. All right, we're above 70 for both stages. Okay. Get ready for massive rapid clicking, basically right off the bat. Because I missed stuff in the beginning. 2800. Okay. Look, the center of the screen is weirdly... I'm like shooting randomly to like give me more time to react. Fuck. $64. God damn, it's so hard. Well, it's so unreliable. But I guess that was a new high score. So let's keep trying. Try to shoot slower just to kind of... I'm fine with failing stage 1. Just want to like... see what I can learn. Do I like hold the mouse button? Nope, that doesn't make anything any more reliable. Yeah, with an actual light gun, it must have been even harder for sure. Because then, like... you'll be gaslit into thinking that you weren't accurate. Here, I can at least know where I'm aiming and where I'm firing. And it doesn't work. Like, I know it's not my fault. Yeah, exactly, Tango. Exactly. Alright, I didn't learn anything. Oh, well, I did learn something. It's not worth trying to do research. Just fucking mash. Also, the layouts are definitely randomized. Oh! This is so supremely fucked. Like on the rare occasion where it just works, it feels good. 52% was enough, apparently. Yeah, that felt terrible. But okay, sure, we'll take it. Maybe you need 50% for the first one and 70 for stage 2. And we got, what, 74 on stage 3? I'm just praying that it's 75 and not, like, 90 or some shit. Not the most satisfying feeling. Machine gun. Wiggling the cursor horizontally at least appears more fruitful than wiggling it vertically. Appears to. Not exactly conclusive. And a target that appears above the, or like in front of the checkered walls seem a little rough to try and hit. 86%. Oh, fuck. So even that, like, it makes me worried because if like, how could I possibly reach that kind of score on stage 3? I'm just gonna wear up my mouse by never stopping to click. %56%. What the how is it that low? And like, is it just me or was that stage much shorter? Oh. Okay, man, this game tricked me into thinking it would be much faster and easier than Lord Bromley's Estate. Not the case. But like, it's so like in everything that's inconsistent, the challenge is also really inconsistent. Like sometimes the way the stars align with like the amount of properly shootable targets the game gives you. For stage 1, like, fuck off with putting like the multiple red targets simultaneously. Like, there's no way I can shoot more than one. Like, you can't throw out like targets that cannot be shot, like where you can only get some of them, and then like rate me on my accuracy. This game is a bit bullshit, I'm starting to think. And also, like, the machine gun, I was like, yeah, it feels a bit whack, but it's like, dude, fucking works at least, sort of. I mean, I guess work. It doesn't really work, but it's completable. Like, you're a little bit less at the mercy of the fuckedness of everything. I feel like it's the easiest stage, because even if it has a higher hit rate requirement, it's much easier to, like, kind of brute force hits. Generally speaking. Like, even if I finish stage 1, I typically have a lower percentage and, like, barely scrape by. Maybe it felt short because it did... Yeah, it does a certain amount of targets and it just happened to pick patterns where they show up simultaneously. Could be, could be. Alright, bonus stage. Alright. We haven't gotten a bonus of nothing in a while, so that's good at least. Alright, just get fucking clicking. Alright. Pretty good so far. Definitely does seem like it can take out multiple targets at once, but as with anything, it's not exactly consistent. Stop putting fucking everything on screen at once. Jesus Christ, game. Ugh. That was like a luckier pattern there, but still. Like, when you get the 2 tiny targets and then the 2 red targets and then like a big one in the front, like, that's 5 targets and you cannot, like, you'll hit 2 if you're lucky. New high score. Wow, okay. 3405. Funnily enough, like, clicking in the bottom right empty corner of this target of a dude seems to be like the best way of actually hitting it. Where you would hit the target, but not the actual, like, thing painted on the target. %. It's 2 light guns. I shudder to think how much worse that would be. Like, in terms of it actually functioning. Or not, as it were. Like, the difficulty balancing, if such a thing exists, is also so whack. As long as you've got a little bit of technique, stage 2 is, like, way easier. I mean, which kind of makes sense because, of course, again, the game sort of freezes, or at least runs kind of in slow motion while it's doing the target check. At least you can kind of react to stuff. It's pretty funny though when you see that the like the black and white drawing thing, like the white line doesn't ever go over where your cursor is. Man, hit rate is 64%, not good enough. And I wonder if, like, I wonder if any, like, video, like, it's not like it's looking at what's being output on the screen, like, in terms of the emulation. I'm, like, thinking, like, is there some kind of video setting or something that would make this function differently? Yeah, the bonus, I was kind of feeling the same thing, Tango Bunny, like, yeah, I'm increasing my score, but yeah, the bonus is so random. So yeah, it's not that great of a... If anything, I should, like, make sure not to get any bonus points just to see, like... But again, knowing what my actual score is doesn't really help me either, so... 2020, yeah. I'm, like, curious to see... Like, if I can... Because I can change this to NTSC. Show frame rate, says. I don't know where that's being shown, but... I'm just, like, curious if there's, like, could there possibly be, you know, not that I have any problem believing that it would just be this bad. Oh, there's the frame rate counter, I just realized. But I want to believe that it could be better. %78%. It's pretty good. I think I'll get rid of this frame rate thing. Just desperately wanting to try anything I can. I wonder... Oh, I guess that doesn't make sense. I was going to say, I wonder if my, like, screen refresh rate on my computer has anything to do with it. Because I think I'm running at 165 hertz. But I was going to say, well, if it was set to, like, 60, that wouldn't help if the game's running at 50, if there's, like, some uneven frame rate thing going on. But, yeah. It is intriguing. What's up, Modern? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with the sound, but I guess it's meant to be some kind of ambience of gunfire. Like, the sounds that are happening when I'm shooting and hitting, that's one thing. But everything else is a bit weird. Also, last time we failed stage 2. That's the first time in a while. Man, when we beat the first game, I was like, sick. These games are actually beatable. We're not going to have to compromise or cheat or anything. We can just finish them. I'm finding myself less sure about that. I don't remember what my PB for stage 3 is either. But I want to say I reached 70 something. Oh, it's 68. Now I'm struggling with stage 2. Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't expect it to be any better. Like I said, I'm just clinging to hope. Just out of curiosity, I wonder if I set this to NTSC. I don't know if it's like changing the speed on the fly. I guess I could check the frame rate to see. It would be faster and probably more difficult. But if the collision actually worked, you know, or the targeting, or whatever you want to call it, it'd be worth it. %, all right. Oh, it's definitely faster. You know what? Let me drop it back to. Actually, let's keep it at 60 and just see if. I'll believe anything at this point. But I think it really comes down to, like, for each potential target location on screen, like, have a good, like, know exactly where you need to aim to hit that one target. Certain spots on the screen just, like, seem... Like, these, the small targets on this row, they just happen to be at a height, or at a point on screen, where targeting is a lot more consistent than other parts of the screen. Alright, 74. Let me slow it down again. Yeah, the rhythm of the machine gun does feel more satisfying. That's I agree. But we're back to 50 hertz land. Took a few attempts there. I think for the red targets, if you shoot the actual line, seems like it's a little better, maybe. At least in the center. Dude! It's like not even flashing for like 12 shots there. Yeah, I missed like 6 targets there. This is infuriating. I cannot believe I hit as many as 66%, because it felt like I missed fucking all of them. It's like you can't even tell when you hit. It's insane. All right. Every time you think you manage to develop a trick for consistency, the game is sure to let you know that you were wrong. And I guess a lot of the time, I don't move the cursor, I just click 4 times. And eventually it does register a hit, so... My, you know, area of the screen being more or less reliable theory isn't exactly watertight either. Maybe the bazooka has a bigger hitbox. It may be intended to have a larger hitbox, but the regular gun also has a fairly sizable, like, well, I can't even say that it has a sizable hitbox. You're rather frequently able to shoot significantly, you know, off target and still register a hit. But for both or all weapons, you are also perfectly able to aim exactly at the center of the target and shoot 5 times and not register a hit at all. So, you know, it's hard to like make any kind of argument about what the hitbox is meant to be. Yeah, I had the audacity to keep shooting at the center of the target, so bonus of nothing for me. Should have known that it was a trick target where you need to shoot a little bit off to the side to hit it. Did get that one eventually. Like, sometimes it's just like a little bit of a delay, and I don't know, sometimes it does seem like they just kind of fold away as if you didn't hit them, but you still register a hit. I know the smaller targets don't have an animation, but sometimes, I don't know, it's like it's as if... Because you can tell with the larger ones, they just pop out of existence when you hit them. But I swear sometimes the animations of them retreating play out, but you also get a hit. Or like, the hit just has like a little bit of a delay before it registers. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like 40% of the screen off. I was like shooting over here, and I hit the target over here. Wait, what? I thought it said I advanced. I guess I must have misread. I got 70%. Was that not... That was confusing. Okay, I thought I... Oh, well. Okay. Yeah, this game is, it's a bit fucked. It's a bit fucked. Yeah, Q has been flunking me for quite some time here. But it's not my fault his piece of shit gun just doesn't fucking work. I'm probably not gonna... Well, you only know like 50% on this stage though, so we'll see. There's gonna be a bad score though. Or percentage, whatever. Not a great stage 1. Yeah, 54%. Divide by 0 is... Yeah, just a... comment on the overall quality. But again, to be fair, like, Lord Bromley's Estate... The issues were significantly lesser, and it's a much better game, frankly. This is just beyond fucked. It's also, like, you have way more time to hit the targets. Like, every single aspect of that game is, like, better designed, better thought out, and more enjoyable to deal with. The only part I like about this is getting to use the machine gun, and it's not that it feels particularly good, but it's like a light reprieve from the non-functional nature of the everything else. Like, it feels a little bit like you get to pull one over on the game and cheat a little bit. Like you're getting your revenge on Q's bullshit. 78%. Well done, you go on to the next range. I feel like 78%, if I somehow were to get that much on stage 3, is still not going to be enough. I'm right, missing everything so far? Okay, we're probably screwed. Fucking not hitting anything. Dude, I'm not hitting anything. Right now, I'm like... The dotted line is like working perfectly fine when before it was like the opposite. It never worked. %. Even again, like that's better than it felt like. That's almost the most infuriating. Like I could I could more readily accept certain parts of the screen just not registering hits very well. When you keep clicking the exact same spot and it works, it just like the 5th attempt just works. Yep, I didn't try. That kind of feels worse. Yep, okay, sure. I didn't need to hit that one anyway, I guess. 56. This is fucked. This game is fucked. So weird. I could swear that this dotted line was like unhittable before, and now it's like the most consistent part of the screen. Oh, I got that one eventually. Dude, stop putting fucking 4 targets in different places up at once. 70% is not good enough. Jesus Christ. Is this the entire game? The train? Yeah, it's the... Well, yes. It's Q's Armoury. It takes place entirely in Q's Armoury. But it is basically part 2 of a series of games. Where part 1 is the clay pigeon shooting at Lord Bromley's estate. Part 2 is the mission briefing and preparation in Q's Armoury. And part 3 is the Living Daylights. Yeah, different games work a little bit differently with that broccoli donut. In a lot of cases, they would basically have a kind of a workaround where, because the way it works, right, is when you pull the trigger, the screen is filled with white, but it's filled in a certain fashion, you know, that takes, it doesn't happen instantly, it takes time. So the amount of time between the trigger pull and the sensor in the gun detecting the bright light determines where on the screen you were aiming, right? So that's why you see this weird black and white pattern when I shoot. And obviously, if you are pointing it at a bright light and shooting, it's going to essentially assume, like in that case, it wouldn't assume that you're aiming at the target, but rather that you're aiming at a certain point, which I guess would be like the top left corner or whatever. But if you look at like NES games and stuff of that era, it flashes like a sort of frame around each target. Like instead of keeping track of where on screen you're aiming, it just checks, like instead of having to check an entire screen's worth of pixels, basically, it just checks, did you shoot this duck? Did you shoot this duck? Did you shoot nothing? Or whatever. So it only has to flash like a sequence of lights, and it can determine whether you hit something. So if there's no kind of workaround on the game's part, the first, like if you instantly get a register of bright light because you're aiming at a light bulb, the game might register that at, you hit the first target in the sequence. So if you have 3 targets, you just shoot 3 times, and every time it's checking, it you know, figures out that you're hitting the first target. But from my understanding, some games, specifically to deter that, it'll do like one fake check, like the first frame, whatever, has, you know, if it detects light on that frame, or the first instant, whatever, then it knows that it's a miss, because that will, like, it sort of offsets the timing of checking the targets, basically. So it first checks if you're cheating, then it checks target 1, target 2, target 3, etc. But whether this does anything like that, who can say? Like, I don't know. The emulation could be weird too. Like, just the idea of conceptualizing kind of how to properly emulate that behavior gets a little weird too. When it's like kind of reliant on multiple pieces of analog technology, like when you're relying both on a CRT screen and the kind of light detector in the gun itself, I couldn't even begin to imagine what it looks like to translate that into like a mouse cursor. But yeah, and it's on a Spectrum, and it's, you know, probably made in 2 weeks, you know, all kinds of things. Again, a light gun game for the ZX Spectrum is not something you look at conceptually and think, oh, that sounds like it's going to work excellent. But I will say that, you know, Lord Bromley's estate was at least consistent enough to set the expectation that it could be done. It's rather shocking how much worse this game is than the other one, in my humble opinion. Like, both in terms of the overall consistency and functionality and accuracy of the gun, but also just like how the game... Dude! I keep getting the same pattern. But also like the game sort of pattern, the objective, just the overall design. Like, if we were to imagine that the aiming and shooting worked perfectly, I still think the general conceit of the first game is much more interesting and varied and kind of fun to look at. This is just a lot more dull, in addition to working much worse. I got that one. Yep. This is pretty good. Okay. Okay, I can't hit anything. I was gonna say we shouldn't have a problem clearing this stage, but now I'm not so sure. Oh, I missed that one. Cool. Yeah, the top right red target looks super hard to hit. Center one I'm doing okay with. And like the one slightly to the right. Like the one that's up here and the one that's here. But the one that's over here I seem to like never hit. And the one so far left is like a little iffy. Okay, I got it eventually. I mean, that just goes to show how extremely fucked this game is. Dude, you have fucking no time. I missed it. I missed it again. Oh my god, this game. I only got one of them. Keep in mind that I'm firing a fucking bazooka. These targets just refuse to be hit. I just can't get over 64%. But I think I'm pretty sure I got a higher score than that. But again, I'm a little worried because it appears that I can clear stage 1 with 50%. The lowest I've cleared it with is like 54. And I've gotten 70 on stage 2 and not cleared it. So it doesn't require 75 because I've got like 74. So I don't know if it requires like 71 or something, or maybe it's score based. But, like, I don't know what the requirement is, which is terrifying, because what if it is 80? What if it's 90? If it's 70, which I don't think it is, because I do think I have achieved 70, then I could see it, but it's so, I don't know, super luck-based. Oh yeah, that one's, like, impossible to hit. There's like absolutely zero, well, there's not zero consistency. Some things are consistently non-functional. have like just enough hope that I could get a score of 70 something, just to see if that might work. Like if by some miracle I managed to get like 75. On stage 2 we got like 84 or something. And I still fail it, then I don't know, man. Because the only stage I can get scores that high is on this stage. 78%. Because I can tell you right now, if you have to hit 90 on stage 3, it's factually impossible under our current circumstances. Maybe, again, could be an emulation thing, could be any number of things, you know, under other circumstances, maybe you can get that score. But, if that's... I'm willing to give it a little bit more, you know, a few more attempts to see if maybe, we could do it. Let's say, for example, that I get a 78% on stage 3 and we clear it, then I will be happy that we did it. But if I get a 78% and we fail it, then at that point it's like, I don't know how much higher I could imagine that I could get. Oh, I'm not... I hate that pattern so much. Doing okay here, but 64% not good enough. I can't fucking get over 64%. Ugh. Any options? Not a lot, and I don't know what any of them would, like, how any of them would help. I mean, I was kind of looking at it before. I don't know, like, we're drawing all frames. I can reduce the frame rate. I don't think that's going to help. We tried switching to NTSC. That didn't help. And this is obviously like a British game, so it would have been designed for 50 hertz if that were to make any difference. But NTSC made the game faster, but did not appear to have any other difference to it. I don't know, like, again, we've played games where my computer monitor refresh rate had an impact on game speed and weird stuff happening, but those were like generally PC games. I don't know that it would be an emulation thing, and even then, I don't know. I mean, I could try it. I just don't think it would... I can't see how that would make a difference. And again, like, I can change the color palette to real spectrum colors, or I can change it to monochrome CRT, or a green CRT, but I can't imagine that there's anything happening on the emulation side where it actually checks for, like, RGB values on a pixel or whatever. Like, you know, whatever it's outputting to the screen would presumably be kind of separate from what's happening. I mean, I'm happily entertaining the idea here of being able to do something to see if something would make any amount of difference in how well this functions. But I'm not expecting much. But you know, 60, like, it's so frustratingly close enough that it's like egging me on to keep going to see if I can at least get up to 70 or something. But, I mean, we had like a pretty damn good stage 3, just in terms of luck and consistency. And it wasn't enough. I'm curious if someone... I was thinking, like, if we can't do it, I would be interested to see, like, there's got to be some kind of ending to the game. It's not going to be anything fancy to look at, but there's going to be, like, a screen of text or something. So it would be nice to have seen that. Possible that it's checking the actual pixel colors. I mean, we can try messing with, you know, I don't know what would... You can set it to monochrome CRT and see if this looks like it makes any difference. Kind of a little gentler to look at. The bright blue, or bright teal, I should say. Getting that kind of concrete bunker feel a little more faithful here. Does not really appear to be working any better, though. I've got the... Not good enough. Yeah, we couldn't do it. The fight tags dropping in. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Can simulate some scan lines. Which probably looks like absolute dog shit on stream, if I had to guess. But it's so fucked on stage 3 too, like the targets move way faster. So you have like less time to hit anything. Consistency is just not there. Ah! Love that the programmers divide by zero years before the Pentium bug with dividing by zero was a big thing. Well, I mean, I think dividing by zero has been a thing for as long as maths have existed. As long as division has existed, I think divide by zero as a concept has existed or has not existed, however you want to phrase it, I suppose. Found a review of this game on YouTube that breaks down exactly how the hit scan works frame by frame. Don't think it'd help, but it's interesting. Alright, that's pretty cool. I'm not gonna like go... Well, I mean, maybe if we were to watch it, we could do it, but I'm not gonna like go open that to try and learn it and apply the knowledge. But if there's anything you could relay that you think would help or be interesting or be like even possible to relay properly in chat, by all means. I mean, it is just like looking at it at face value, like it's interesting, like that it does this on kind of this sub section of the screen. It's like kind of, it's fascinating to look at, to just imagine like how it must, like what must be going on, even if it doesn't work. Like, I don't get, I mean, again, assuming this is not like some emulator thing, but like how it can... Like, how would it know what part of the screen to even put this thing on? To check where you're aiming? Like, I don't know, maybe it's doing some weird... like, multiple pass thing. Benches the number of levels. Well, the briefing was pretty clear that we would have to, like, graduate or whatever, you know, with every weapon. So I'm assuming that level 3 is the last one. I could see there being a 4th level because there's some kind of thing at the end. Or possibly there's, like, 6 levels because there's 2 of each or something. But by all means... Like, I don't mind if you let me know how many stages there are, because I don't think we're going to be finishing this game anyway. Like, whether there is an ending, I think, there will certainly not be any kind of ending that anyone would be excited to show off or talk about. But based on what we saw in the previous game and everything, like basically the game over screen would have a slightly different text in a different color. That's about it. But I'm more like interested kind of narratively to see like what the game says happens or whatever. Bazooka's loud. All right, I mean that's what I figured, but I'm glad to have confirmation. All right, it's time for the impossible. Well, okay, bonus first, then the impossible stage. All right, we got a bonus, a hittable bonus, so we got good points here. We got a PB chance here. Dude, I actually hit a bunch, and then I missed a bunch. This is a pretty good stage 3, but it's impossible to tell. Like, it's impossible to have a intuitive feel for your hit rate. We got the 70%, and that was not good enough. It felt like a pretty decent stage 3, but yeah, the infuriating thing, right, is like, you feel like you can do better, but it's not up to you. It's just, you know, will Q allow your gun to function properly? Ooh. So 70% isn't good enough. 70% was not good enough for stage 2. We got a new high score, 3,600. I don't know what the clear condition for stage 2 is. But it's not like 80, and I'm pretty sure we've cleared it with like 74 or 73 or something. So it could literally be like 71. And if that's the case, if we achieve 70, we could achieve 71. I don't know. I want to see if I can get like one other good attempt.
Yes, I'm very impressed.
4%. Yeah, this game has 0 issues for sure. You can like hear the machine gun start to really chug. Okay, this might be a struggle of a stage 2 here, even. Okay, that was a little weird, but hey, Q's Armoury is a little weird. 68%, not good enough. Not good enough. Imagine the next tape recording has an offhand Q joke saying how he hopes you don't mind him messing with the weapons to help train for unforeseen events in the real mission. I mean, for what it's worth, The Living Daylights is not, you know, the level of fuckedness in that game is not, it's not up to these astronomical heights, but it's not an entirely unfucked game. I'll say that much. But it's like cool for the first 4 stages or so when it's like possible to complete. But then it becomes impossible to complete and it's not as fun. Alright, let's... Game overing on stage 2 is like the worst feel. Because that one should be like a freebie. It is a funny sight, though, to imagine. Like, just pick whichever is your favorite Bond actor. And just picture them holding a Master System light gun converted to a fully automatic machine pistol. Just fucking spraying down this shooting range for like 5 minutes straight. And like, even hitting paper targets about 4 to 12 times, and the target just like not reacting, the bullet's like bouncing off of it. Just standing there like, oh, furiously shooting and shooting and shooting, like not hitting anything, and he was just standing there like, not good enough, James. Well, there we go. Part 3 is a light gun version of the Living Daylights. Yes. Unfortunately, I've not been able to get it playable myself. But I've seen a video talking about it. We'll boot it up and see. Like, again, if I can achieve, you know, something with the help of chat, maybe, like, because it boots, but it's like, you get to, like, the title screen and it says, like, press fire, and I can't get past that screen. I've tried, like, configuring stuff in the emulator differently, but I just can't get past it. So we'll see if we can figure it out. But yeah, because they've changed it so that space on the keyboard, like, moves Bond forward, and you shoot the screen, you shoot enemies, and you, like, shoot the little bottom HUD to toggle your gadget. But according to that one video I saw, he said that, like, the accuracy, like, the targeting is fucked. Like, it doesn't work well. Which, having played this, I can absolutely believe. But conceptually, like, that game, like, having, like, being able to instantly toggle between running and shooting, as well as being able to move your aim a lot faster, should conceivably, like, make that game a lot better. But, it's... yeah. I mean, on the one hand, I agree, like, you would want kind of a proper mission. But I think the way they've done it is still, like, kind of cool. Like, if you think of it the other way around, sort of, like, scrunging together some kind of bundle package, for the fact that it has, like, new games and a new mission briefing and this kind of narrative, like, even if it's cobbled together, it's a lot cooler than just, like, picturing this game released as a standalone, as, like, a Bond game where you're, you know, Q's fucking carnival shooting gallery. Because, like, as far as the briefing and the manual and everything outside of the game goes, it is, like, they're describing this mission and everything, which is really cool. But then you play the game and it's, like, literally the Living Daylights, which is a little odd. The main one you remember playing, using the Spectrum like a foot pedal in Time Crisis. Yeah, I'd be, like, I don't know how much patience I have for it, but I would like to get it up and running and playing it. I'd enjoy it more than this, I'm sure. Because that was, at its core, like, a pretty cool game. I don't know that the Spectrum version was my favorite, because there was a whole bunch of them, and I frankly don't remember, like, some of them were more playable than others. Because, like, the lives and health bar systems were a little bit different. Like, in the Commodore version, I think your health, like, carries over between stages. So you will inevitably, like, there's no health refills, you just, you know, your health is going to get drained. So you'll get to stages with, like, 2 pixels of health and die instantly. But it's like, well, okay, as long as I don't lose more than 1 life per stage, I'm, like, doing kind of okay. But then at a certain point, like, you still have, like, 5 lives to do 8 stages or something, so it's just, like, it gets ridiculous. Alright, I think we're done. Like, I mean, this attempt, like, this, like, I don't think we can beat this stage now. Yeah, I missed all those targets. most fucking impotent bazooka pistol I've ever seen in my life. 64%, not good enough. You know what, Q? This game is not good enough. I think we're gonna have to call it there. I just cannot see what I could possibly do. Like, if once in every 3 to 4 tries, I'm able to get to, like, 70%. Well, more like once in every 8 tries. And that's still not good enough. Whatever reward we get at the end, it cannot be worth it. It's not possible. The good part, of course, is that we can still advance. We can just listen. We can pretend that we achieved, you know, we can just cheat the test. Listen to the briefing and move on to the next leg of our journey, you know, and see if we can get that working. But I think that's gonna be it for Q's Armory. It's like my soul is slowly draining. I can't listen to that anymore. I cannot listen to it. I don't know, like, I think you would get a nice sense of achievement for completing it, perhaps. I don't know. It was satisfying to complete Lord Bromley's estate, but at the end of the day, like, if you grind this out for another 2 hours, like, how much more? I mean, I feel like we've still managed to get the full James Bond 007 action-packed experience. Yeah, Q purposely handing out faulty weapons. We developed it wrong on purpose as a joke. That dastardly old Q did everything humanly possible. That's kind of how it feels. We're gonna stop the timer there, and we'll see if we can get something going here with Zero Mission. We're gonna listen to the briefing and everything, so we're not done, but we'll set the time there, and we'll set this to status to aborted. This is the second game in the challenge so far that has been aborted after 1 hour, 24 minutes, 31 seconds. Like, an hour and a half doesn't seem like that much time to, like, give up on a game. Or for some people, maybe, I don't know. But I feel like that's also relative to the game. Like, how much does it have to offer? Like, how long does one attempt take? And how many attempts does it feel like it would take to get to the point? Like, I don't know, it's not a matter of improving my skill at the game either. It's not a matter of improving my knowledge. I don't feel bad about I don't feel bad about aborting. Try pressing M on the keyboard. That was the fire button in the non-light gun version. The mind boggles at the idea of a non-light gun version of this, I have to say. I mean, if it works and somehow is, like, more reliable, sure. I mean, I'm willing to try anything. Or I mean, the Living Daylights. Okay, I see. Yeah, I was like, you know, would this work without it? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. Completed stages 1 and 2. Achieved 70%, or let me failed stage 3 with 70% hit rate. Impossibly unreliable hit detection, and a complete mystery how one is supposed to clear stage 3. Put that down as a comment. What was the generic control scheme on the Spectrum? Typically, as far as I know, for directions, you would use QA for up and down and OP for left and right. That's a pretty commonly recurring thing. So let's change color for this thing. His Armory has gone on the record as aborted, which is kind of what it deserves. I would have loved to finish it, but at what cost, you know? With this, you know, anticlimactic ending, let's see if we can somehow figure out how or if we can get the light gun version of the Living Daylights to function. I'm gonna boot this up again. This is like kind of off the record, so to speak. So we'll call this Zero Mission. Oh yeah, I can probably disable the scan lines. Which I believe is the name given to the mission in the written materials. So let's try. Oh yeah, no, before we do that, we gotta listen to the briefing. I forgot. Well, let's we'll do this. Put this on screen and listen to the third tape. Well, it's all on the same tape. The third little bit of audio. All right, we finished the training. We did excellent. We aced it. So what's Q got to say for us now? Oh yeah, let me remember to mute my mic so don't get weird echo.
Well done, 007. I knew you could do it. It's a nice weapon, isn't it? Well, you're gonna need it. While you've been on the firing range, we've uncovered what Spider's really up to. And it's far worse than we first thought. They're going to mount an all-out attack on the peace talks next month. In the confusion that follows, they'll seize military power in 3 of the world's most unstable countries. They'll hold the East and the West to ransom. Overnight, they'll turn from being a counter-espionage organization to a major political power. Now, fortunately, we've located their headquarters, but it's fortified beyond belief. To avoid raising the alarm, you'll have to go in alone. I don't have to tell you how dangerous that's going to be. You must infiltrate their base swiftly and silently, shooting anybody who gets in your way before they have a chance to raise the alarm. Now, you're going to need every bit of the accuracy you've just demonstrated on the target range, and a bit more. Now, we don't quite know what you're going to find in there, but our sources say there are 8 levels before you come face to face with their leader in his inner sanctum. You must use whichever of the gun's modes is most suitable for each situation. Get it wrong, and you're as good as dead. But you won't need the gun all the time. Grab whatever you find in there to get you to that final level. Right, now your mission briefing is waiting. Read it carefully, but don't waste time. The future of world peace depends on you. And James, I don't need to say it, but good luck. You'll need it.
Stop the tape now and play the final section.
I like the enthusiasm there. Stop the tape now. Play the bloody game. All right. Yeah, we're gonna demonstrate our expert marksmanship to swiftly and quietly mow down 8,000 dudes with our inept machine gun. So yeah, they talk about like all the different firing modes and switch gun modes, like that's their way of explaining that in the Living Daylights you bring like gadgets with you. You pick a gadget / weapon for each stage, and most of them are the exact same functionally, and they're kind of useless. But like for the second stage that takes place at night, you can pick the night vision goggles that makes the enemy kind of visible, and for the factory stage, you pick the hard hat so that the falling pipes or rocks or whatever it is don't hurt you. And then, oh yeah, and you need the for the what is it, like the amusement park stage? You need like a crossbow or something to hit the balloons because your regular gun just doesn't work on balloons. But otherwise, for most of the stage, it's like, oh, you can pick a rocket launcher or grenades or this or that, and it's like they do the exact same thing, which is like one round of an ostensibly more powerful weapon that makes no difference because toggling it's too arduous and difficult anyway. So you're kind of, it's a crapshoot. So like I said, I was not able to get this running, but we may have some experts in chat who can make it happen. Oh, this is a different tape image than the one I tried before. So this looks a little different. Could this make the difference? Maybe not. Okay, yeah. So fire, I'm clicking with the mouse button to shoot at the screen, which does nothing. According to the emulator, the standard input, like joystick simulation, whatever, has the Alt key as the fire button on the joystick. Pressing that does nothing. So M on the keyboard does nothing. Like, I don't know if I can... Like, if I disable the light gun... Doesn't seem to... Like, is the game expecting me to have a joystick plugged in? I don't know. What if I try... Like, I've disabled the light gun. And I'm opening the image again. Does it reset? Let me just restart the emulator. I don't know how it works exactly. But I know that if I have a freshly restarted emulator and I open the tape image, it'll, like, fast boot. So, as far as the game is concerned, there's no light gun, I guess. Alt key does nothing. M, nothing. Control, space, shift. Can't. And we can enable the Magnum light phaser. So I'm using Specky. That's the emulator I'm playing this in. This was the only... I remember I did this research, not recently, but back when I planned everything, like last year. And I found that in this emulator, this was the only emulator where I could get the light gun emulation to work. But if I recall correctly, I couldn't get other joysticks to work. So I think I would... Like, I used another emulator called Ink Spectre, I think. And I think that's the one I used for the other Spectrum games generally. So I don't have much of a frame of reference for getting controller stuff kind of functioning here. But this is as far as I've been able to get in this version of the game. The manual's denoting if you push right or joystick right, so it should take either input. Yeah, I guess it's just, I don't know. I feel like I'm pressing everything I can think of that could conceivably be construed as a fire button or equivalent. But as far as the emulator goes, it's like it looks like it's got like every possible joystick configured. But it's, I don't know, but it's very... very confusing because there's like no feedback or info on anything. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying every key I can think of, including the M key. I'm having no success. I appreciate you guys helping out to the best of your ability, don't get me wrong. I'm not frustrated with you, I'm just frustrated with Q. And I'm frustrated with the endless challenges of attempting to play anything on an emulated European microcomputer. Now, to be clear, I was not planning on playing this game. You may notice that The Living Daylights is not Mission 12, because we already played this game, and I would have loved to have tried out this version, but we've played the other versions of it. We have gotten a solid taste of the ZX Spectrum light gun experience And even if this were to be the best of the 3 games, I can still live with not having been able to play it. And if someone is able to help figure this out in the future, I wouldn't be opposed to going back to it to check it out. 3 plus 4 is opposed to exit. That does nothing. Yeah, like, I don't know if it's taking keyboard input or it's a simulated joystick through the keyboard inputs. Like, again, there's like no feedback on anything. So it could be frozen. I'll disable the fast load, and maybe that is making something bug out. I don't know. Maybe we'll get to see the title screen for more than 1 second. Although I guess I don't know. Once it's in the game, whatever. We'll watch some flashing colors here and see if this makes any difference. But I mean, like I said, I don't really care that much. It would be cool and interesting, but I'm kind of happy to leave it. I don't think we've I don't feel like we've left too much of an, embarrassingly large stone unturned. This is pretty cool though. I like this. This is a cool loading screen. Like, again, I don't even remember how the Spectrum version of the Living Daylights fared to begin with. So it's entirely possible that we would be jumping through a number of hoops for something that is distinctly not worth it. We'll see if somehow we can get anything behaving differently by disabling the fast load, which seems like a bit of a stretch. But we're going to enjoy some cool vintage loading animations. And if that doesn't work, we'll just leave it there. Also, I literally just realized that this is a parachuting... I guess it's James Bond? I don't know. That's like the opening scene, right? They do the parachute drop for the training mission on Gibraltar. Gibraltar? That I can't even speak. Oh boy. Guess that's maybe another person. It's a pretty cool loading screen. I like it. But yeah, I was intrigued by the novelty of the Spectrum light gun stuff, but I wasn't expecting much. And frankly, Lord Bromley's estate delivered more than I would have expected. Choose Armoury honestly is much more kind of in line with what I would have thought this thing to have been. And it's been interesting, but I feel plenty ready to get out of the microcomputer jungle. Can't get past the screen, can't tell if it's an emulator or tape dump problem. Yeah, seems like it would be something along those lines. And I don't have nearly enough experience with Spectrum stuff to have any idea what's the more likely, let alone what could be any kind of solution. Well, how about I'll leave this on in the background, I guess. I don't need to shut down the window. We'll just do that. Not worry about it. And take a look here. Let me do this just to avoid any confusion for anyone who might be joining. Choose Armoury has been completed, sort of. We have successfully aborted the mission. We have been fully briefed for our Mission 5, James Bond 007 in the Living Daylights, the computer game. side-scrolling action game with features 8 levels of gameplay centered around the Timothy Dalton movie of the same name, beginning with a training mission in Gibraltar. Bond then assists General Koskov's defection to the west, rescues a Bond girl, fights off henchmen, and takes on an evil weapons dealer. That's a nice summary of the plot right there. A cool, but unfortunately, in parts, impossible game. So with Mission 11 and Mission 5 completed, what we'll be moving on to next? Mission 12 is Octopussy. A graphic adventure based on the Bond film of the same name. Octopussy was released exclusively in Slovakia. In the role of James Bond, Agent 007, you are sent to India to track down the origin of a rare golden egg and solve the mysterious death of Agent 009. Originally available only in Slovak, the game was translated to English and re-released in 2018, featuring new music and loading screen graphics. This was a game that excited me to no end when I learned of its existence, and you may or may not be surprised to learn that this does not appear to be licensed by any prospective rights holder to the James Bond property. But we don't care. It's so cool and fascinating that we had to include it in the kind of main lineup. This is otherwise perhaps the kind of game that would have been relegated to a bonus mission. But I said, screw it. This is too cool. So I've watched snippets of video of this, and this seems utterly and entirely incomprehensible. But I'm confident that we will be able to get it up and running. We'll play it. We will understand jack shit of anything that's going on. We will have no idea whether or not we are making any amount of progress. But I know that full playthroughs exist on the internet. So we should be able to get some kind of walkthrough or some kind of video guide to follow or something to see our way through the game. If nothing else, it actually has a really cool opening, kind of cinematic intro. It's cool. And yes, this is a 1992 Spectrum release. We're fully in the 90s, and we have yet to get a single console game since the very first James Bond 007 from 1983 for the Atari 2600, Sega SG-1000, etc. So Octopussy will mark the end of the microcomputer era. And after that, we will boldly move on to a whole new generation of pain. James Bond Jr., more James Bond Jr., James Bond the Duel, and also the 8-bit Duel, etc., etc. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Octopussy will be the next mission in James Bond, but it'll be a while before we get to it. As is tradition, we shall be watching the film before we play the game. And I'm not entirely positive when I will be able to schedule a movie night and follow this up by playing the game. Because I did previously mention that I will be away next weekend. And I will not be streaming on Wednesday either, because I will be busy packing and preparing. So we will stream on Monday, and I don't particularly feel like setting all this up and squeezing in the movie watching. We'll do something else, because then I'll be essentially on break for a week. And the following Wednesday will be, I think, the first stream back. And then even at that point, I don't think we'll, basically, we're going to have to take a short break from James Bond. And when I'm back from my trip, I'll be able to pencil in a movie watching time slot, and also figure out what time we will start playing this game. So it'll be probably maybe 2 weeks from now, we'll watch the movie and we'll play the game after that, or something along those lines. Yeah, James Bond Jr. always talks about his Uncle James. His Uncle James who works at Nintendo, I guess. It's maybe it's got that kind of thing going. It's pretty stupid, but it's got James Bond in the title, so it qualifies. And the NES game actually looks kind of sick. The Super Nintendo one, maybe not so much, but it'll be a fun experience in its own right, I'm sure. In any case, stay tuned for more updates and info on scheduling of the Octopussy movie night, as well as when we will get to play this game on stream. I'd be remiss not to mention that the Q Branch Research Funding Initiative is back online. We are currently working our way towards developing the technology necessary to take on Secret Bonus Mission number 3. I don't even know, actually, off the top of my head, what that game is going to be. I'm not going to announce it regardless. It's top secret, eyes only. You know, you'll be informed when you have the clearance. But even I don't actually know what it is. I'm going to have to do some prep and research behind closed doors. But yeah, the way this works is all your bits and subscriptions, donations, etc., will get pooled towards the Q Branch Research Funding Initiative at 1 credit per bit, or 100 credits per dollar, or the like. Still love Q despite his shitty bazookas. I mean, he can be a bit of a jerk, but in fairness, so can Bond. I think Q has earned the right to stand up for himself a little bit, and we should also not drag down the entire branch just based on the behavior of one person, even if we may be a little unhappy with him today. I'm sure he will find his way back into our hearts fairly quickly and easily. But that's all I had planned for James Bond for today's stream. Like I said, Octopussy will have to wait until we have time to watch the movie and do a little bit more prep and research. So that'll probably be in about 2 weeks or so from now. We do, however, have a little bit of time left to stream. I've been going for 4 hours, 20 minutes or so. I guess wrapping here wouldn't be too crazy, but I was fully expecting to keep streaming for a while after finishing this, which sounds like a setup for saying I have such and such planned, which I didn't really. But I am feeling this slight itch to attempt a survival run of Prince of Persia Classic. So I think we're going to do that. We played that a bit a while back. We played through the campaign and marveled at a lot of stuff that's kind of fucked with that version, more so than I expected. But it's still Prince of Persia, so it's still a pretty good time. But we unlocked the survival mode, which is basically just completing the game on 1 life. And if you do that, you get an achievement. So that's one that I definitely want to get. So why don't we give that a shot? We'll take a short break. And when I return, we'll see if we can survive Prince of Persia. Enjoy some jams, and I'll be back in just a little bit.